grade middle school science teacher, so hopefully I can really hit everybody both in the front and the back. I'll make it as accessible as possible. But as we get started, we're going to have the presentation itself and some Q&A at the end. So there will be a mic stand right there for any questions that you might have. But let's just get right into it. Why not? So when I'm talking about social capital theory, many of you might not know what it is. You're obviously fresh here in the morning. You might have had a cup of coffee, not had a cup of coffee. But basically, we got the three ways to kind of break it down here: the academic, the practical, and the relatable. I'm going to focus on the relatable right now, because what makes this presentation kind of like come alive is the fact that we've all sort of done it before. It's just that you haven't really put a name to it. So basically, social capital theory revolves around, there's people that you know that would love to help you based off the fact that they have a personal connection, all right? People that are friends with you, family members, past co-workers, and it's basically favor from a friend. It really boils down to the fact that there are people that want to help you, you just don't know it yet, and it's just getting to that point and making those connections to really just further your own goals, and in the context of Smash, really bringing everything together. So let's just go with a simple example, okay? When we're talking about maybe teaching, right? I'm going to teach a lesson on a transmission. I'm going to teach a lesson on a transmission to a class of 6th graders. They're going to be looking at a book, looking at maybe something I prepare, and hopefully understand it if I break it down correctly, right? Well, here's something I could do. I have a friend named Mike who's a mechanic, someone who I met when I was really young. He grew up, took this as his career, and now he fixes cars, knows all about transmissions, and I figured, why not have Mike come in with an actual car, take it in the parking lot, take the kids out, and actually break down how the engine works with us. That way, we have someone who knows what they're talking about from the field, actually demoing out what it is that we're learning about, in this case, an engine, and he gets that little moment to sort of like pay it forward to the kids, because everybody really enjoys, you know, being able to like give back in that way. And then we also have the kids seeing a real live car engine, right? That was the social capital that I built up. Having known Mike since I was young, asking him as a favor, hey, listen, I got a class, we're gonna go into the unit now of transmissions. You wanna help out? And then him saying like, sure, what time, what place, let's do it. Brings the car over, breaks it down. Now the kids are learning. And in the end, we get this thing called symbiosis galore. He's helping me, I'm helping him. Maybe I buy him lunch, he'll feel good about it by the end. If you still haven't gotten it there, let's break it down into an easier example, one that's relatable. So let's talk about Smash for a moment, because after all, this is how you can apply this sort of theory to Smash. So when I was at PAX East 2018, I had the director of Rutgers University Esports come up to me and ask, listen, Suar, I'm trying to get this event off the ground. I'm trying to get these people to attend this really big spring event that we got going. Problem is, the marketing is a little shoddy. We're trying to get all our ducks in a row, but we're having a lot of trouble. Do you have any advice? Well, I looked at her and said, well, what is it that you're working with? Who do you have? Like, how big do you want the event to be? What are your constraints? And she told me a little more. They want it to be a mid-sized event, maybe 150, 200 people. It's on a college campus, right? Well, then there comes False. If you haven't met False before, he is a content creator for the community, a really big figure, a really nice guy, and above all, he's a Rutgers alumni. So I told her, listen, why don't you do this? Why don't you reach out to False? Why don't you tell him, hey, we have this event we'd like to have you be a part of. And while False might, at first, to any normal event, be like, all right, so what's my rate? In this case, having gone to Rutgers, he has a little bit of a soft spot. So again, that social capital that he built in with Rutgers and sort of exchanging like, here's some of mine, here's some of yours, False might agree. So I suggested, listen, contact False. Maybe you can't pay for his flight, or maybe you can't pay for his hotel. So house him. That way, you have someone like False coming to your event, he feels good about giving back to Rutgers, and all of a sudden you have a really notable figure attending an event that many people might pass up only because of the lack of notoriety. That's social capital theory in play. In the end, False goes, has a good time, maybe he has his food comped, maybe he's crashing at an old friend's. Again, Rutgers gets to put on this great event, and everybody has a good time. That's pretty much how it works in action. But there's a word of caution. When you ask favors from people, if you're only asking favors and you're not giving back, what ends up happening is that you get a little bit of a deficit. You don't want to run the well dry, because in many cases, when someone is going to ask something of you and you back out, then all of a sudden it's not reciprocal anymore. So in cases like that with False, Rutgers later on, if False needs anything, if he's in town and they offer up, hey, listen, we're having another event, we'd love to have you. This time we got a little bit more money because of the event last time. How about we set you up with a nice dinner? And by then, you have this situation where False gets reciprocated, Rutgers Esports gets their branding shot up a little bit, and then by the end of the day, both parties are pretty happy. So what have we discussed so far? We're looking at what social capital theory is, okay? Something that a bunch of social scientists came up with to sort of explain how people can work with each other to better each other in networks that they build across time, right? So I had the academic definition, the practical, the relatable. We covered that it's favor from a friend. And again, the simple example that I gave in the beginning now makes a little bit more sense. I wanted to teach about transmissions. I don't have a transmission readily available. I contact a mechanic that I knew when I was growing up. He comes in, teaches everybody, and in the end, everybody wins. Same thing with False and Rutgers Esports. When you have Rutgers Esports, who's sort of, at that point, sort of a grassroots organization because it's run by college students for college students, they reach out to someone like False, try to offer some sort of concession. He helps out because he had gone there before and he has an affinity for the university, and then everybody wins. So with that being said, you don't want to run the well dry, because in many cases, like I stated before, when you're having people just always asking but never giving, you start to sort of upset the balance. So you got to reciprocate. In situations like that, reciprocity can be as much as a thank you card, or even going so far out of your way to even host another event where you could feature them, send a gift basket, or even go to their event that they're trying to host as well. If False, for example, goes to Jersey because he's from there, goes to New Brunswick and he's hosting an event, let's say with K-Taro, they're hosting another K-Tar, Rutgers Esports can show up and maybe help with the stream, help with the setups, and now both parties are in balance. When you have that reciprocity in place, you have people being happy, and you have that balance being restored. From what I've seen in a lot of tournaments today, from SmashCon to Genesis to all the 2GGC tournaments and 2GGT tournaments, you see those tournaments function because they're leveraging a lot of their social capital. They have situations where they're trying to get something, they're trying to get somebody, but they have situations in which either the money's short or there's no budget available for it. So what do? They reach out to who they know. That in and of itself allows for that leveraging of what they built when they were starting out as a small stream organization, as a small content creator, and then branching out to eventually rope them in, and now you have a situation where everybody is working together, exchanging, and bettering themselves. So, to recount, because I want to keep this tight, social capital theory sort of lends itself to allowing people to work with one another in ways they didn't think they could before. Another example that we can look at is with the advent of Ultimate in December, right? Tournaments are going to pop off. You're going to have attendance breaking record numbers both on the local, regional, and national level. If you want to set up a tournament in a plaza, at a game store, maybe a GameStop, and there's a Panera in the same plaza, Panera Bread, sorry, you can have a situation where you go to Panera Bread and say, listen, every Thursday we're going to have a weekly, and that weekly is going to bring at least guaranteed 40 to 50 people to your store. How about we work something out where we have a voucher where they can come redeem it at your Panera, and all of a sudden you have food provided for the event by the event. And situations like that where you have an event providing all these amenities for all its people who attend, now you have all these players happy, the TO happy, the community happy, and Panera Bread actually getting their money's worth out of that entire situation. Again, out of what? Just leveraging those connections that they had with each other. Another example, too, is as Ultimate comes out and more tournaments are on the rise, you're going to have situations where a regional TO and a major TO can collaborate. If you're trying to set up a tournament in SoCal, for example, in Southern California, the go-to guy there is Champ. Champ setting up 2GG and the entire series. He has a lot of networks and a lot of connections both in the real world and the virtual. If you're trying to set a tournament up for the first time in SoCal, why not have 2GG be a part of it? If they're not a part of it explicitly, they can be a part of it implicitly. They can, for example, potentially, if you reach out to them on social media and say, hey, we're trying to get this tournament off the ground, we've attended a lot of your events, maybe we can provide some volunteers for the next saga, would you mind retweeting our link on SmashGG? Champ sees this, sees it as pretty reciprocal and says, sure, you're SoCal, I want to see the SoCal scene grow, and now you have the tournament getting that exposure from 2GG, and 2GG getting some new volunteers for their next event. Very simple examples, and something that a lot of people may have not thought of before. So that brings me to like essentially my final point. There are people in your life that know a lot about what you might want to do, whether it's event making or they have a special talent, a special skill. For example, here at SmashCon, we see the arcades, the indie gamers, a lot of the merch representatives doing really well because of that collaboration of not only their talents, but also their platforms with SmashCons itself. SmashCon is one of the biggest, most well-attended events of the year, and you have all these vendors, all these people with so much passion for indie titles, all the Smash games coming together under one roof and making the best out of it. All those relationships start with just reaching out, and all those relationships continue by reciprocating as much as you can and providing that buy-in of, listen, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, but at the same time, we're both going towards the same end goal, which is growing the scene, growing the local scene, having more people be involved, and finally, just having our name be out there and having more and more people just aware of what's going on, which is these Smash tournaments, these regional, local, national tournaments really growing, and everybody wins. So, long story short, you might have not thought of it before. Hopefully this kind of tilts you into, not tilts you, sorry, kind of turns you on to thinking about how you can look at, you know, the new relationships you can build when you're in Ultimate and you have these new people available, and also when you're even looking to your own region and working on those connections that you built from Smash 4 until now, or even from Brawl, or from Melee, or even earlier from 64. So, to close, I'd like to do some Q&A in case anyone has any questions of how they can sort of brand themselves or reach out to having the best possible start in Ultimate, or to have the most productive summer that they can have during Smash 4 or Melee. If you have any questions about how social capital can be leveraged, or how you can just take a simple idea such as providing food for an event or providing entertainment, questions are open. There is a mic right there if you're interested. Don't all jump out at once. But if you have any questions about how that works, or even how I was able to take what I initially knew with PG stats and grow it into something like the PGR, or even more broadly like the MPGR, questions like that are welcome. So there's a mic right there if you're interested. We have about time for 2 or 3 questions if anyone has one. But again, don't jump all at once. Question? Right here, you can step up to the mic. What's your name? Where are you from?
My name's DJ, and I'm from here, actually. I'm from South Riding, Virginia. Awesome. So my school is trying to start a kind of like program, I guess, in or a club where we could make like a tournament that's connected across schools, where we could all have like play some like esports, essentially like Smash, and like have all these students come together and play, but also try and get developers involved to explain how the mechanics work and how the video game basically works, so they could also learn how to make the game themselves. The problem is that we don't really know where to start and how to, like, you know, get this idea off the ground and like start it.
So essentially having a circuit woven into like these mini workshops and just like essentially gatherings for everybody to sort of play, test, and learn?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have a social media page for anything you just said?
Not yet, because it's supposed to be a capstone for a friend of mine who's coming here later. He's not here right now.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of asking on his behalf since it's his project, not mine. But I am helping him out. But we do not have a social media set up for that.
Okay, so my recommendation is looking at your university first, having a proposal for anybody, an admin, or anybody that could potentially sponsor the event, and not with money, but just like sponsor as like an advisor. There might be professors that are into esports. You never know. You can send an email to the student affairs and involvement club that's probably in your student union and get the word out that this is happening. If you're interested, we're looking for either an advisor or a sponsor. But even beyond that, just setting up a proposal that you can pitch to any of the nearby game stores or libraries or community centers where people can kind of tune in and say, oh, wow, this is happening. And then by setting up your social media pages later, when people actually follow through and find these flyers and visit online, they already see what you're about. A schedule, a brand, maybe you have a website too, maybe even have content on YouTube that they can see what they'd be getting into. So I'd say, just to keep it short, asking admin or like asking around, like maybe you have a past professor that would be interested. If they don't know someone, they might recommend somebody. Going to your student involvement center and actually pitching it with flyers and seeing who's interested to potentially be a part of the staff. And then finally having something that exists on the internet so people can visit and then ideally become a part of it. Because if it's not on the internet, it doesn't exist, is what many people say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking, DJ. All right, next question. Who are you? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm Joel. I'm from South Carolina, so 8.5-hour drive for us.
Okay, welcome.
What would you recommend the best way to advertise for local tournaments?
The best way to advertise for a local tournament?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Are we talking like Smash fighting games specifically?
Correct, yes.
Okay, I'm guessing this is for you, right? So just for some context, where is your local tournament?
It's at a university.
At a university?
Yes, we have a club set up and everything.
Okay, so you have a club set up and everything. So universities are great hotspots because not only do you have the accessibility, because many people live either on campus or really close by nearby on off-campus housing. The biggest thing is you're going to get people who want to be a part of the tournament who have some sort of buy-in already. Those people usually go to places like GameStops or any of the neighboring electronics stores. And so something that you could do that's really simple is if you have a GameStop or any sort of like rental, there's no Blockbusters anymore, but Best Buys, stuff that there'd be peripherals for that. Somebody's walking by getting a mouse already, sees a poster for Smash, remembers themselves playing Smash when they were younger. Flyering isn't exactly a dead medium. It's a dead medium when you're just flyering out in public. If you go to Times Square right now and pass out flyers, it's really hard to get that sort of conversion. But if you put those flyers where those people would likely be, like a GameStop, an electronics store, hey, this is our event, the dates, the social media, like the Twitter handle or the website that they can visit, because again, if they don't know that it exists online, it's really hard for them to track it down. That can go a long way. Apart from that, a picture of just showing everybody there. Many people opt to just put Super Smash Bros. Wii U or Melee and like Mario and Link, and that's fine. But if you can get a shot of the crowd, people can see that, oh, there's actually people attending. I can actually be a part of that, and they'd be more inclined to go as opposed to just like a blank flyer. And even then, there are many universities that use a listserv where they send those email blasts. And while that can't go to like the whole university, I imagine, your club might be able to collaborate with the university to have that listserv go out to maybe, during, like you can include it in one of the freshman weeks, when they have like introductions for Spirit Week, all the things you can do on campus, definitely getting it on that calendar of events. So those would be my recommendations.
Thank you very much.
All right, appreciate it. All right, one final question. Who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Rome from...
A little louder, step closer.
Okay, I'm Rome from Maryland.
Yeah?
So as the director of the PG Stats, I was wondering, I'm pretty sure you've seen the direct. And I was thinking about when I saw the final Smash meter and some of the other things that they were introducing.
Wait, sorry.
was,
Just step a little closer and be as loud as you can.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I was looking when I saw the final Smash meter and all the other things that they introduced. I was reminded of Brawl and the Meta Knight ban.
Yeah.
And as the director of the PG stats, obviously you have like a lot of power. So I was wondering how are you gonna approach it when you have like different tournaments? Let's say having stage morphing, final Smash meter. Maybe there's another broken character that's banned. How are you gonna approach that with your counting tournaments?
So turning down to rule set discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, so glad you asked that because it does relate to the initial broad talk of social capital, right? Working with your friends and your network to sort of achieve what you want, both in the end as your ultimate goal. For what's out right now, Final Smash Meter, Stage Morphs, you know, for all of you that don't know, the next iteration of Smash is coming out, a bunch of new features that Sakurai's included that we have not had in the past before or that we've always wanted. Lots to decide. The stage set, the rule set, final Smash meters, all this stuff. Ideally, since it's all to be determined right now, I would like to leverage my own network to have roundtable discussions, feature people like Zero Naira to Buzz that have been top players in the past, that have been either victim to certain jankiness of the game or huge trailblazers in it by, you know, pushing the meta, grinding the characters out. Then also having TOs a part of it, Vayseth, Bear, Champ, and then some community leaders as well, such as Kuragane Hammer, who does a lot of the frame data. He's from Australia, as well as broadcasters like Gimmer, Sage from ESA, people who are all part of the final product of delivering a tournament. And having that discussion on, you know, streamed on Twitch or something, where everybody can give their opinion, but also contextualize it. Because what's going on right now on Twitter is that someone says something, then someone else mishears it, then whoever misheard it says, so everyone's saying we should have final Smash meters, and someone sees that, quote retweets it, then subtweets them by saying, if you want final Smash meters in this game, you're toxic, and then now you have this mess of telephone along with all another, like a complete different mess. But in a forum like a fishbowl in that sense, where you can see people talking when you're in Twitch chat, you can actually take time to take that discussion, break it down, have everybody give their thoughts, and then everybody give their context. So personally, what I'd like to do before, you know, as the game comes out and all that, is have those discussions. They're recorded, they're archived, they're public, and have this, like, you know, 6, 7 people come on, give their thoughts, and then you can see those sides come out. Because right now, a forum post or a Facebook post or a Twitter tweet really just devolves into like a lot of chaos, especially because the platforms are so public. So a lot of it will be sitting down for like many people the first time and having like a roundtable about everything that can potentially be in the game and how we want to handle it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks then. So that actually concludes this panel. Thanks again for joining in. I know that it was a little bit maybe of a mouthful only because I'm coming from like an academic side, but hopefully the end really shed some light to how really turning someone next to you or turning to someone in your group, your in-group, and working together with them can really further both of your goals and reach something that neither of you thought possible. So my name was Suar, had a really fun time. Hope you enjoy the rest of SmashCon. I believe there's another panel next or just more entertainment. Either way, I'll see you at the Smashies tonight. Make sure you don't miss that at 10 p.m. It's like the Grammys awards show for Smash. It'll be a great time. Thanks for having me one last time, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.